Hello friends and welcome back to Experts Cafe. Today we are going to see how to use if formula in an Excel. So let's begin. So today we'll see how to insert if formula in Excel. So before that, I would like to remind you guys you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive free training videos every Sunday on Excel. So to start, this is a small flowchart which I prepared. This would be useful for you guys to understand how if condition works. So what usually happens in if condition is you have a primary condition to be fulfilled. So for any condition you have two options. Either the condition is met and the second option is condition is not met. So when condition is not met, you have some value, so we call it false value because condition is not met. And the other option is where condition is met, there you have something called as true value. So you have two options. So when you write this formula, you give both options. So you are asking Excel to return values. So if condition is met, I want this value to be populated, and if condition is not met, then this is the value which I require in that cell. So we'll do one example here. So now my condition here is I have got salary for an employee. So say for example is 5,000. So this is my this is my base value on which I would be setting a condition. So to set a condition, I would first require what condition I want. So my condition here is I want to check whether this value is more than, say for example, 3,000. Okay, so if it is more than 3,000, I want formula to give me a value, say for example true. So we'll just go for a basic level formula. So I want to see whether this value is more than 3,000 or not. So to start any formula, you always have to start with plus sign or is equal to sign. Okay, so give is equal to and write if and open the brackets. So once you have opened the brackets, you will see three options: logical test, value if true, and value if false. So logical test is nothing but your condition, the one which we have seen here. So this condition will come here. Value if true, that means if this condition is met, I want this value. That is, if it is true, what should be the value? And the third option is value if false, that is nothing but once if your condition is not full, then what should be the value? So first we need to give the logical test. So what's our condition here? My condition here is to check whether this value here at 06 is more than 3,000 or not. For that, I'll select this cell. If this value is greater than 3,000 and give comma. So once you give comma, this condition, this part would be done and you will be moved on to the next part. So if you see this one is now in bold, that means this is the active tab which we have to update. So first condition is to check whether this value in this cell which cell? 04. So under 04, the value under 04 is greater than 3,000 or not. That's our condition. So if it is more than 3,000, what should be the value? I want value to be true. I want Excel to give me this value true. And also ensure that if you are entering a number, then you don't require this inverted commas. But if you're writing a text in a formula, you need to write this text within inverted commas, or else the formula will not be able to recognize it. So always, whenever you enter any text in formula, always use inverted commas. And again, so we have given the true value, give comma and move on to the false. So if it is false, then I want this formula to give me false value. So now when I press enter, so all three are done, close the brackets. Now if you see here, this formula is giving me true because this is more than 3,000. For example, if I reduce this value to less than 3,000, now you see here the value automatically changed to false. So this value would be fixed, and you just need to keep on changing this. Again, it depends from value to value. So if I'm giving 6,000, again it will be turned to true. 8,000 true. 2,900 should be false. So this is how you can play around with if section or if formula. Now we'll add something else. So now in second formula, so this I'll just say basic example. Now next, I'll use the same thing, but the values that means I don't want the direct values from here. Like in this case, we have given if it is true, give true. If it is false, give false. But I want to just use a different way of writing if formula. So again, I'll go if this value is greater than 3,000, then if it is true, then I want to enter one more formula. So before that, I'll just add some value, or else I'll just give here. So these are called nested formulas. So nested formulas are nothing but where you have two or more formulas in one single formula. So I'm using multiple formulas in one single. So I want Excel to check whether this is greater than 3,000. If it is true, I want my formula to do an average. So on an average, this by 30 days in a month, I just want to see what's the daily rate then. If it is more than 3,000, I want to see what's the daily rate. So I'll just select this divided by 30 days in a month, or 2031. If it is false, I want Excel formula to give me the same value. Now you'll see here. So this is not more than 3,000. That's why we are getting the same value. That is under false, we have got 04. So if it is less than 3,000, we have what we did. We want this same value to be written. But if it is more than 3,000, now you'll see here, it has given me the average. So just to make sure the average is correct, this by 30 should be 106, and this is the same thing. So using nested formula, what I did, once my condition is met, I have added one more formula. So with that, the system, what he has checked, it has checked, yeah, it met the condition, that is, it is more than 3,000, and now 3,000 by 30 will give me 106. Now we'll use one more example for nested formula. Now I'll change the condition here. Instead of using simple formula, I'll use another formula. I'll use Vlookup. So before Vlookup, I will so if it is true, okay, so if it is 3,000, I want more than 3,000. If it is less than 3,000, 2,500, less than 3,000. So this is just a small example which I'm using here. So what I would be doing is I would be using if formula along with Vlookup formula. So if you have not gone through my earlier video on Vlookup formula, please I'll paste a link here somewhere over here. You can directly go to that video and see how Vlookup formula works. So I'll be using that same formula here. So what I'm doing here is equal to if this is greater than 3,000, then if it is true, so if it is true, I'll do the same formula that we have done here. This by 30, I want the average, daily average. But if it is false, I'll use Vlookup formula here. So what should be my VLOOKUP formula? VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP. So I'm looking up to, I'll say for example, I'll just use the same value here. This, I want this to be checked. So probably we'll be getting an error because we don't have 3200 here. So we'll correct that later. So I want to check this value in this two. So I'll just select this two. And hope you remember in VLOOKUP video I explained when to use this dollar signs. So if you're not gone through my VLOOKUP video, you can always go there and see why you need to use dollar signs in a formula. So once it's done, I have selected two rows, two columns, so I would be giving 2 and 0 and close the brackets. Yes. So I'll change this to 3000. Okay. So now what has happened? So if I give 2500, also say for example 3500. So first condition here is if the value here at in O4, if it is more than 3000, I want system to Excel to do a daily average. So that would be O4 by 30 days in a month. But if it is less than 3000, then I want a value to be taken from here. So if it is 3000, I want this value more than 3000. If it is 2500, I want value less than 3000. Okay. So now if I give this, so first condition is met, that it is more than 3000. Now if I change this to 3000, which is not more than 3000 obviously, then I'll have this value, first one, more than 3000. If I give 2500, I'll have the next value less than 3000. So this is where it is being driven from the false. So here the false one. The true one was working earlier where it was giving us the average, but here just because this condition is not being met, it has moved to false section where it is doing a VLOOKUP. So this is how you can try using different kind of formulas. You can also add some if or some formulas, or any formulas can be used or can be nested in the single if formula. So you can start practicing it by using some sample data. So I would recommend you starting with a very basic one. Don't directly start using the formula nested formulas. First you should be expert in using this basic formula. So if you have understood how this basic example of a basic formula of if works, then you should be able to move to next formulas where you start adding different formulas in the same if formula. If this video was helpful, please like it and share it with your friends. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive direct notifications on new video releases. You can also post your suggestions below, or you can also post your training request, and I'll ensure that I'm preparing a video on that. So until then, stay tuned and see you again next week. Goodbye.